Hello, Dawn here. Welcome to this short but sweet standing practice. So just come to standing and lift your feet up and down, put them down a couple of times, and then come to stillness. You can have your hands clasped in front, at your sides, in your pockets, wherever. Okay, and just take a second over the next few breaths to focus on really exhaling. Maybe you'll do kind of a 3-part exhale, or you exhale a little bit and a little bit more. Maybe let yourself slouch a little bit. Last bit of air. And then just relax. Get the freebie of the inhale. Let's do that one more time. So take a 2, 3, 4-part exhale. Let your body move however it needs to like fully exhale. And then relax. Nice, slow, smooth inhale through the nose. We're going to do that one more time. 2, 3, 4-part exhale. Nice, slow, soft inhale. And stand. Notice the movement as you breathe in and out. Notice where you're weighted in your feet. And notice your ability to just notice, to not fuss or fix or tinker or adjust anything. You might notice that you've got more weight in one part of the foot or one side. I definitely feel more weight in my right heel and in my right leg completely than my left. Okay. And then let's come to the back of our yoga mat. And at the back of the yoga mat, we're just going to take our knees, our hips, and our ankles and just kind of wave and rock ourselves forward to the space between the toes and back to the heels. So we're just thinking of kind of shifting our center of mass forward and back and letting that kind of wave through our body and letting it rock us. We'll want to have a bend at our hips and our knees and our ankles, because if we do this standing straight up, it's going to knock us off balance. We won't get the same kind of roll and rocking from the front of the foot to the back of the foot. So it's like, let yourself find a bit of an athletic posture where the heels get a little bit light, and then you're going to take that center of mass and move it forward and back. And just feel your weight shift from the ball of the foot back to the heels. We don't want to roll all the way onto the toes. So the ball of the foot. You'll feel if you roll onto the toes, how the toes then push you back pretty quickly. And then make little circles, or think of like yawing the thighs as you go out and in, and then change the direction of the yaw of the thighs and the shins as you keep pitching your center of mass forward and back. And we get this rock through the feet and through the body. Okay, let that go. So you may have found that easy or challenging, some of the coordination, timing, and sequencing of that. Next, you're going to bring your hands to your thighs, and keeping the hands on the thighs, gently pressing the thighs, we're just going to pitch the torso forward. Pause here. We don't want our hamstrings relaxed, but we also don't want them like piano wires. Okay? So slide yourself back up. Again, slide the hands down, pitch the torso forward. And as you do, just come to the point where you feel like the hamstrings kind of come on a little bit. And we're gonna think of pulling from behind the knee to the bottom of the pelvis or the sit bone to the middle of the back of our thigh. So engaging the biarticular tissues, meaning those hamstrings cross our hip joint and our knee joint. So we're just pulling to the middle from both ends on both of our legs. Okay? Then we're going to relax that, slide a little more, pull to the center. Think nice long spine, maybe collarbones just tipping up slightly, top of the sternum or breastbone just shining out in front. Relax, slide down, find those hamstrings again, pull, pull. Keep pulling, start to bring yourself up. Keep pulling to the middle, bring yourself up. Good, so we should have gotten a bit of heat, feeling some work at the back of those thighs. So we're gonna do that one more time. We're gonna think of this as our forward fold today. So hands on the thighs, pitch the torso forward, little bit of pressure into the thighs. Get to where you feel like you've got a bit of load on the hamstrings, and again, those biarticular tissues. Think of pulling from behind the knee and the bottom of the sit bone to the belly, so we get a little firmer, stronger on the back of those thighs. Then we're going to relax it, slide down a little further. Find that isometric. Make sure you're not too heavy in your heels, pulling behind the knee, the bottom of the pelvis to the center, and relax it. One more time here. Pull, 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 pull. And then start to bring yourself up. Use those hamstrings. Pull from behind the knee and the bottom of the pelvis to the center. Good. So the legs should be starting to get kind of warm. Find that athletic stance and just pitch that center of mass forward and back. Get a little wave happening through the feet. Maybe you yaw the shins or roll the feet kind of side to side a little bit as you rock forward and back. Okay, settle out. Let's inhale and take those arms up. Exhale, hands come down, find the thighs, little pitch of the torso forward, pull to the center on those hamstrings, slide, pull to the middle on those hamstrings, slide, and then pull to the middle on those hamstrings, but sit your hips back. So you come up into a bit of a chair, okay? So you'll notice that the biarticular tissues at the front of our thighs, our quadriceps, start to engage here, okay? Let's just bring those palms up to the chest. We're gonna shift our weight over to one side, lifting up one leg. Bring that foot back down, shift your weight over to the other side, load into that leg. Watch that you're not too heavy in the heel or pushed back too much through the heel, okay? And then weighted on both legs, press to the ground. I'm gonna come on up to standing. Okay, so settle into an athletic stance where you've got weight at the back of the ball of the foot, the heels are a little bit lighter. We've got some creasing at the hip, the knee, and the ankle. When we find our athletic stance, think of it's like loading a spring of the leg. So we don't want to have all knee or leading of the knee. It's like you're being squished, your feet are being squished between the ground and your center of mass. So everything just folds a little bit, okay? Once you get into that athletic stance, hands are going to slide down, come to the inner thighs. You're going to let your shoulders roll wide, okay, and kind of come off of your back ribs. We're going to keep one hand there, pressing into that inner thigh pressing into that hand. And then the other hand, we're going to yaw open and pitch it back. And then we're going to yaw closed. So yaw that half of the body away from the opposite side and then yaw it towards the midline. And play with how you organize. Like I'm kind of thinking of my elbow leading and my hand kind of follows. Maybe you're thinking hand leading, elbow following, kind of explore with a couple. And then that hand's going to come to the inner thigh. Thigh and hand find one another. And again, yaw open, yaw towards the opposite side of the body. It's okay if the pelvis moves, if one knee shifts forward of the other. Again, kind of play with, is it elbow or hand leading, and the path that you take that upper arm bone on here, as well as the shoulder blade and the rib cage. Okay? Let that go. Lift up pitch the torso back up. So we're still in that athletic stance. From here now, we're going to let the shin angle start to change so the knees fall towards the floor, and we will step forward with a leg. Okay, whatever spacing that is for you is fine. We're here in high lunge, so we want to be up on the ball of that back foot, up on that front leg with a bend, that knee and that hip. Okay, so while we're here, let's just roll those shoulders back. Turn those palms to the ceiling. Maybe we take the collarbones and the upper breastbone and lift them up. Let's play here a little bit. I could take the rib cage and pitch the top of it forward and the bottom of it back, or I could pitch the bottom of it forward and the top of it back. Okay, so do a couple like that. Then I could kind of just let my rib cage be, and I could play with rolling my breastbone and xiphoid up and down. So it's like this action that's really more of a rib action and less of a vertebra action on the spine. Okay, then we're going to pitch the torso forward so we bring weight into that front leg. Let's bring the hands onto the thigh. Press into that thigh. Again here, let's get the hamstrings to really support us here, pulling to that center. That leg's going to stay low, and we're just going to circle it around. Now, as we pitch the torso back now, and we're in this position, we're going to get a pull of the biarticular tissues at the front of the thigh pulling to the center. Then we're going to sweep that leg back around. Hamstring. Swing it around. Get front of the thigh. Okay, one more time. Hamstring. And then we're going to roll that foot and leg and bring ourselves up into that balancing half moon here. And then we're going to tip that leg back. Maybe take that hand, whoop, whoop, to the back thigh. Reaching and leaning back onto that back leg. Keeping that front knee bent, or maybe we straighten that front leg. And then stepping to the front of that mat. Okay, let's walk back to the back of that mat. Same story, second side. So finding that athletic stance here, okay? Now we're gonna make sure that we drop the shin angle of the opposite leg. So we step forward into that high lunge and we're set up on the other side. Okay, just again, take a second here. Maybe instead of yawing, let's roll the arm up and roll over to one side. And then bring the other arm up and roll over to the other side. One more time each. So rolling that arm, rolling that rib cage. Rolling that arm, rolling that rib cage. Now we're going to shift the weight onto that back, or onto that front leg. Okay, find the hamstring on this side. Circle the back toes around. Find the pull of the front quad. Circle back, hamstring. You'll definitely get some calf here too. Front quad, hamstring. Now we're going to roll that foot and pitch the thigh. Okay, finding our balancing half moon here. Stuff is working. Then we're going to pitch that back leg back, torso back. Maybe we reach up into like an exalted warrior one here, getting some load through that back leg. Could keep that front leg straight or bent, but we're definitely pitching our center of mass back over that back leg. And then stepping the feet together. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Stand and notice again, just and observe. Where's the weight, the feet, and the legs here now? Has it changed from the original observation? Maybe we're able to resist tinkering or tweaking or fixing differently than we were at the start when we checked in. Okay, let's walk back to the back of our mat. And from here, we're going to come down into that athletic stance. Again, think of it as like if someone had their hands on your hips and they are literally pushing you down to the ground, and you want to let things fold in a way that has the heels get a little bit lighter and weight kind of to the back ball of the foot. Okay? From there, we're going to shift one leg back. We're going to let that shin fall, so we rotate and take a step. We're going to shift our weight onto that leg, not being heavy in the heel. Again, going to let the shin fall, rotate, and take a step. Okay, you've probably run out of room, so you're just going to walk back onto your mat, and we're going to do that a couple more times. just seeing how we can use our center of mass and where we have pressure in our feet. Let's step the other leg a little bit back. We're going to let this shin go. Take a step, get weight onto this leg. Let this shin go. Hip goes over the top. Okay? One more time each side. So compress yourself down, find that athletic stance, shift onto one leg. Let that knee pitch forward and down, okay? Let that knee pitch forward and down. Now the more down you go, the more you're gonna rotate over the top. So you'll find that everybody's got different length bones. So you'll play with the right alchemy of down and forward for you, of pitching the top of that shin bone, okay? But don't think of it as I'm here and I'm doing this with my knee, because see how that is, my center of mass is actually going the other direction to offset that. So we want to have the center of mass go and follow the knee, okay? And then once you get there, shift the weight onto it. Let the center of mass go with the knee, okay? Good. Then we're going to come back to the back of our mat, and we're going to come down to our hands and our knees. Find hands are, how wide your knees are. Come to a position where if you thought of your arms and your shoulders and your legs and your hip sockets as being brackets, that the suspension bridge that is your spine, okay, is slung between. So where you feel like that spine can be long and just have its natural curves, that it doesn't arch excessively, that it doesn't sag excessively, that it's just there and well supported, okay? Take a couple breaths and imagine kind of inhaling out into the four corners of your body, so both of your hands and fingertips, and out into your knees and feet. And exhale, feel your midline. A couple more breaths like that. Inhale out into your four corners or edges. And exhale, feeling your midline. One more like that. Okay, we're going to tuck our toes under, or a big toe. Maybe our other toes don't touch the floor, and that's fine. And then we're going to shift our hips back. Okay, then we're going to push our feet into the floor to come forward, and we're going to do that 2 more times. Think of pulling the hips back, and almost like you're trying to lift the feet off the floor, but the further back you go, the more the feet get pressure into the floor. And with that pressure into the floor, we're going to use it now to press ourselves forward. One more time, imagine pulling your hips back, almost like you're trying to lift your feet off the floor. And then there'll come a point where the feet get heavy into the floor, and that's where you're going to push yourself forward. Last time. So feel for that point as you pull the hips back, that there's a sense of like that the feet start to get heavy and there's no way that they're light on the ground, and that's when you're going to push yourself forward. Okay, we're going to sit our hips back onto our heels. Okay. You could have the big toes touching or the feet could be apart. We're going to lower ourselves down onto our thighs and come onto our forearms. Now, if the ground is far away, we're going to come down onto our forearms, onto yoga blocks, okay? So either the floor or yoga blocks. And then from here, what we're simply going to do is press the hands forward on the mat. So we round out or flex that spine. The chin kind of comes to the notch of the collarbones a little bit. And then we're going to think about pulling the elbows towards the knees, letting the top of the sternum stretch forward. The collarbones peek up towards the front of our mat. Okay, and then press the forearms and elbows forward on the mat. Peek everything to look back towards the knees. And then pull the elbows. Peek back. See if you can keep yourself heavy, heavy, heavy back towards your heels, so that we really get the movement through that mid-upper back rather than the lumbar and low back. And you're just going to alternate between these two. Maybe the elbows reach out slightly and think of pulling in slightly. Kind of play with what has you feel like you can get those up, that upper back, upper ribs, upper breastbone moving. Okay? Then we're going to take both of our hands and reach them over to one side. Just take a couple of breaths there. And then walking both hands over to the other side. Taking a couple of breaths there. Hands walk back towards the knees. So we're sitting on our heels. If this is a lot for the top of the feet, if you fold up some blankets, you can elevate the shins so then there isn't pressure on the top of that foot. Okay? So from here, what we're going to do is simply slide. Well, we're actually going to yaw the shins, or roll the shins, roll the thighs. So we come off one side, and then we're going to roll them the other way. So our legs are rolling. So imagine rolling the torso in the opposite direction. So we end up kind of making a little C, and then a C to the other side. So it looks like this. As the legs roll this way, then I'm going to roll my arms this way, and I'm going to roll the legs the other way, roll the arms. I could hold on to a shin or ankle or knee. Okay, one more time each side. Okay, and then we're going to make our way onto our back. So once you find the floor on your back here, we're just going to take the legs out. If you've got bolster, blanket, just take a second to extend any kindness or generosity to yourself that's going to have you be 5 to 10% more comfortable as you settle into your final pose today, into Shavasana. Okay. Oh, there's one more thing. There we go. Oh yeah. And wherever the arms want to be, just let your attention expand out to take in the sounds of the room you're in. If you've got a window open, the sounds outside the room you're in. Bring your attention back to the sounds in the room around you, to the sensations, the body, maybe sensations of numbness or tingling or pressure between you and where you rest on the ground. And just slow down the inhale and the exhale for the next few breaths. As you start to bring movement back to the body in whatever way feels appropriate for you right now, or interesting, or okay. And then you're going to make your way from being on our back to being on our side. Taking a few moments here, the fetal position, before we use our arm and hand to press ourselves up. Coming to a seat, feeling the legs and the pelvis. We bring the palms together, thumbs just to the left of the breastbone, heart center. Just let your gaze remain soft and slightly inward. Inhaling a sense of spaciousness and exhaling a sense of okayness, maybe even safety and grounding. Om Shanti Shanti Peace.